Welcome to Seafarer, the ship sim. Today we're taking a first look into the game so I can sort of show you a bit of a snapshot of what this game is all about, the gameplay loops, a bit of the menus, bit of the settings, so you can decide whether this game is for you or not. This game is in early access and the devs did give me a key, so thank you very much for that, so I could bring you this. They've also supplied a game link which I'll put in the description below, as well as the trailer link to their roadmap. I'll talk about the roadmap in a little bit, and I'm going to try and show you as much as I possibly can, although that's not always possible. There's a few gameplay loops in this, which I will talk about, but it doesn't necessarily mean I can actually show you, because I don't want to make this video too long. But of course, if you want specifics, showcases of those as separate videos, I'm more than happy to do that. So this game is in early access, as I've mentioned, so I know a lot of you might be pushed away from this initially, but I'll basically be showing this in its state as of right now, at the time this video is going out, and everything is subject to change, develop with additions and fixes and optimization, stuff like that. Talking of optimization, they've brought out a couple of patches since they released it in early access a couple of weeks ago, focusing on performance, which is really good, including the addition of DLSS. And for full transparency, if you're wondering what performance is like, I've enabled the frame rate display in-game, and for context, obviously everybody's PC is going to be a little bit different because of different specs. Mine's a few years old. I've got an i9 11900K, 32GB of RAM, and an RTX 3080, and I'm running them at medium settings. So when I'm showing you gameplay and everything, you sort of get an idea of what my frames are like at that spec point. Now, if you've clicked on this video, you probably already know sort of what this game is about, because it kind of says what it says on the tin. It is a ship simulator. For those that are wondering what the options are like, I'll just display my options right here. I think my one criticism right now, you may notice, field of view doesn't actually have a number indicator. I would like that, things like that. Audio, I have music disabled at the moment. It's keyboard and gamepad. I have tried it on gamepad. It runs all right. You might have to up your stick sensitivity, but apart from that, it's very much plug and play. I've majoritively been using keyboard and mouse up to this point, so I'm more used to that than gamepad, which is what I'm going to be using today. So there are two modes. There's quick play, which you can just dive into any scenario that you like, and this sort of gives you an idea what sort of gameplay loops there are. So there's a ferry job, firefighting, patrol, inspection, parking spot. There's practice with all the different sort of ships and boats that you can have, your weather as well, and your time of day and which harbour. I'll show you the map in a minute. You can also randomize this if you want. And then there is sort of a narrative campaign mode, which is the main thing that I've been playing. So you pick a direction and then you stick with that. And obviously, as you get more money, you can expand your fleets, upgrade them, etc. So that's what I'm going to sort of show you today. I chose cargo, so I'm going to show you a bit of cargo today. So because it is campaign, you'll see some characters appear on screen periodically and all that kind of thing. But you can freely walk around your ship just like this. So I talked about, I'll just walk around while I just explain this. You get to pick two directions. There is the Crescent Logistics, which is the cargo, and then there is the Tide Patrol. Now this is your firefighting and your police boats, basically. And I picked cargo. You can do tutorials for both, and you can still complete those tutorials, which I recommend both doing, and then coming back and then still picking your choice. So I knew I wanted cargo. I'm a fan of cargo game loops, no matter what it is, whether it's a sim like this or a space sim or something else like Euro Truck or whatever. Very much a fan of that. So I sort of knew going in I wanted to do that. If you're unsure, or even if you do know, I still recommend just going through them both, because they are both fun gameplay loops. There is sort of this here, by the way. There is sort of a living quarters that you can actually go into. I think that's more to do with when you're doing the inspection gameplay loop, there are certain things you need to pick up to check and stuff like that. There is an engine room as well. I'll show you that as well, actually, before we go and do a mission. And there are some things that you may have noticed are interactable, but you can't, like, the cursor will highlight them, but you can't actually interact with them, which might suggest things like the lifeguard boat and the sort of life buoy and stuff like that. I've got an engineer as well, which has its perks. It's always good to check everything and see how everything is, which is part of the gameplay loop. Now, if you didn't have an engineer, you'd have to do this completely manually, but with the radial menu, by pressing spacebar, you can actually get him to check the engine and do the repairs for you if you need to. As you can see, if you see engine 1 and engine 2 there, you can sort of see, yeah, there we go. We're missing several spare parts. There is a workshop in here, which might indicate this is actually selectable, but you can't do anything with it. This might indicate we might be able to craft some of the parts. I don't know what that would be used for, but it doesn't have any functionality right now. So we need oil, I think, and a fuel filter. So if I press T for tablet, we've got our journal here. So we're up to chapter 2 in the main narrative, which we might do. I'll decide in a little bit what we sort of want to do. We've got messages. We don't have any. This is our fleet, so we can level this up if we like. We've got 12,000 at the moment, but this is the resources that we have here. This is really important because you need to make sure you have these on your journey, otherwise you're going to be stuck and it's going to break down or you're going to run out of fuel. So we are just going to make sure that's all filled up. I'm okay with the durability and HUD condition, don't really need to repair that just now, but we're just going to get a couple of all of those just so we can actually repair everything. So we can do this manually, or we can say, oh, we can't assign tasks right now. I thought we could get them to do it, but we can get them to obviously check everything. We just press S when it gets to the green bit. It sort of quickens this process of the oil fill, just like that. And that's that. And it will show you what you need to do. Coolant. And there we go. Oops. And then check the air filter. That's fine.
Captain.
And then... and everything's gone green, as you can see. And we're all good. So we're all good to go now. It's always good to check that before you set off. I didn't early on, and I had to call SOS because I ran out of fuel. Literally, I think it was 1 or less than 1 nautical mile away from my destination, so that was fun. And for future reference, if you do have to do that, it cancels your career job. So again, that's quite fun. Right, there are interactable screens at the map. This is the entire map. All the way from up here, we are all the way down here. And you can set waypoints and stuff. I'll show you that later. There's a radar. What else is there? There is the echo sounder as well. And all that kind of stuff. Not everything's interactable, by the way. Most things are. You can highlight the keyboard, but it doesn't do anything. You can sit in these seats if you want to. There's not really any functionality for them right now. Yeah, so we'll take the steering wheel and we'll go into tablet. What do we want to do? In fact, we do have some credits. I do fancy upgrading us, so let's do that. So now our Herbert is 2 stars. I've just got an achievement for that. That's the first time I've done that. Because, obviously, all of this. I haven't shown about the crew. So the engineer and the officer, I don't have an officer right now. This is a one-time payment, by the way. You can dismiss them, remove them, and it's, yes, these are who you can hire. They have certain perks. You've also got a bank, and then your user stuff. And if we go into hints, And if we go into tablet and go into crew, it will tell us. And this is very helpful if you come back or you're not sure about how something works, you can go into this menu. So it will tell us that the officer has an autopilot through the radial menu, an anchor, and fuel consumption is slightly reduced. Engineer automatically checks and repairs the engine after receiving a radio menu command, and wear is reducible. So that's the perk that we have right now. This is just your points of interest, really. Places that you visited. So I've maybe played 7-8 hours now. There's also your stats here as well, and your info about you and what you unlock next. There is a character editor, by the way, so this is what you do when you set up your profile. Female, male. I'll just quickly go through this as it is part of the game. That doesn't have anything yet. Headgear, torso, lower, glasses, and wardrobe, where you can just save this if you want to. So we are going to press T again, and we're going to choose one of these. And what is this? Load the freighter. Oh, we could do that. I haven't really done the delivery service yet. Yeah, let's... Or there's just load... Yeah, let's go and accept that. And with cargo, you've got to load it and unload it, which I think is quite neat. So I'm going to show you that right now. Now, you can't physically go across, although I can walk around my ship. I can't actually hop across there without fast traveling. So we have various amounts of containers to fill. So we're going to hit spacebar, we're going to hit swap, and we're going to go to this here. And I'm going to use the WASD keys and mouse 1 and mouse 2 to go up and down. I quite like the fact that they've added this. It's not just sailing ships, it's also loading if you cargo. This can get a little bit finicky. There we go, pressing F2. And then the right mouse button. It doesn't tell us where we put these. We can put these wherever we like. So let's put this. Oh, we're shaking a bit. Just like that. It's not liking that. I wonder why. There we go. So for some reason, I think those can only be loaded on tankers, not any other cargo. I'm not sure if there's a IRL reason for that, or it's a game thing. So I would imagine, because it's got the sort of frame over it, it should be able to balance it on top of other types of cargo. Unless it's more of an organization thing and the game doesn't like it. I've not actually loaded one of those before, so that was completely new for me, as it will be for you when watching this video. Something I did not know about the game. Right, this should be the last one. That's something I've found. Either you have to be really accurate with something, with placements, or it'll accept it quite nicely. There's sort of no in between. So there are some things like that that can get a little bit frustrating, but it's okay. I personally do not mind. And that is everything. So now we go back over, and now we have to secure this. Like that. Close you. Close you. The one here? Don't think we have to do these ones. No. What about these ones down here? No. Okay, that's fine. It's been attached. Oh, it's this one. Basically, should highlight in red which ones it needs to do. Yeah, not that one. Not those ones. Keep doing that. There we go. These bottom ones? No. There we go. That is the load secured. You'll obviously have to do this in reverse order when you arrive at the harbour. Now we can sort of set off. Now you can go into the map by... I thought you could do it through that. No, you can also do it through here, or press M. It's just going from here to here. You can actually waypoint, and I said I'd give you a look at this. So if I press enter, obviously I would have to get out of this dock here first. By the look of things, I need to sort of turn around. So I'd have to go... Oh, that's right. So I would have to do this. What I'll do is we'll turn ourselves around and then we'll do a waypoint so I can sort of show you. But that's sort of a mini demonstration there. So there's a couple of ways to undock. There's an actual button to do it. Just seeing how are we going to do this. Right. So there's a button here. Or, alternatively, we can hold K, as it says on the screen as well. Now, this boat has propellers, so I can actually turn these 360 if I wanted to. And I can do them independently. If I press Q, it resets them to the default position. So, if I wanted to turn this way, I can do so. And this way, and then decide to put some acceleration on. What that will do is it should strafe me, theoretically, although we are going a little bit too sideways for my liking. So much so. I mean, this means I can sort of... That wasn't doing what I thought it was going to do. I thought I was being clever. And then just put some acceleration on just to reverse. Like that. Basically going to do what this boat's going to do here. This ship. Ship, boat... You know what I mean, it's basically the same thing. I know it's not the same thing. Oh. Oh, of course. That might help as well. Yeah. Raise the anchor would help. The reason why I didn't is usually when you get spawned in, the anchor isn't usually down, actually. I've had a habit recently of raising the anchor, thinking I'm raising it, but I'm actually not. Let's just rotate that. Do a little bit of acceleration as we turn ourselves around. Made it slightly difficult for us. I suppose I did demonstrate how the propellers do work, but because the anchor was down, that was probably why it didn't strafe properly, and I was sort of angling on one side, because it looked like my propellers were in the position where they should have been. No matter, it has been demonstrated to you. But no matter, we've got out of it. So we're just going to turn ourselves around so we can get out of this harbour. I'm pressing C, by the way, to rotate between both views. Thank you, Adriana. I absolutely will. So if we look at the UI, you've obviously got your minimap, you've got your propellers, which you've probably already noticed, they rotate 360, as I've explained, and there's the throttle indicators as well. You've got your minimap, so you know where you're going. You've got your wind speed, which does affect turning and things like that. You've got your time. Time doesn't necessarily mean too much apart from what time it actually is in the world. There may be some voice links of saying, hey, make sure you've got this on time, but even when you look at the missions, there isn't really any sort of you have to get it done by this point or this time or whatever at the moment. That's something I would quite like to see, actually. And then you've got your knots, so your speed, and then below that you've got your fuel indicator that will obviously go down over time, and then eventually it will turn yellow, then red. Then you've got your sort of engine, so if there's anything wrong with the engine, so using the coolant and the fuel filters, the stuff that we sort of showed you at the start, replacing those will obviously wear and tear, and that's indicated down there. And then you've got your hull integrity, so this is if you collide with another ship or into the dock or whatever, that is your hull integrity, and again that will go to yellow, and then they'll go to red as well. This game does have weather system and night system. Whether we'll see that today, we'll see. Probably definitely time day more than the weather. I think the weather's quite random, so it can go into a storm, it can rain, and that can affect the waves and how that performs, and sometimes you'll have to correct your course quite regularly. So now if I press M, I can actually show you. If I press enter, I can then say, okay, let's do this waypoint here. You know, put it like that. You can pan by just holding mouse button 1.
For supporting me in this endeavor. I haven't had the chance yet.
And we can just put it over here like that. And that won't actually produce them physically in the world. It will just put it on the minimap, as you can see. But as we're sailing here, we've got a bit of time. You know, it's one of these simulators that's quite chill. And if you like that sort of thing, it probably is kind of for you. You like your ships and your boats and sailing. Although this is an early access, they're aiming for a 2026 version 1.0 release at some point. And they plan on expanding the game world, adding more content missions, and introducing new ships. Currently, they've said there's over 30 hours of gameplay. Technically, you could play the quick play infinitely, because that's all it is. And then we have, obviously, the campaign, which is a bit longer. I'm obviously only on Chapter 2 at this moment in time, because I've done a bit of both. This is probably the slowest, sort of, most chill gameplay loop out of them all. Obviously, you've got your firefighting, which you go to a location and then you take out the fire. There's the tugboat, where you're basically assisting these cargo ships where they need to dock properly. It's ironic because we don't get that as the player, but AI does when you're doing the tugboat. So if you're stuck, if you've run out of fuel, you need an SOS. Yeah, that's the tugboat missions. And then you've got to push it into the dock as well. So get it into its parking place and then push it to where it needs to be. You've got the patrol, which is more inspection. You use your binoculars, which is B, by the way. And you go and inspect them. If they're maybe a bit suspicious, you can go and board them, inspect them. You have to request to board through the radio menu, through the radio. I want to talk about the roadmap as well, just so you sort of know what's coming, what they're planning with this game. So in Q4 2025, so at some point before the end of the year, plan to have update 1, which is more focused on the Crescent logistics, and then the update 2 is more focused on the Tide Patrol. So that first update, they plan to have a new container ship, a new bulk carrier, a new LNG tanker with bulk cargo operations, so a new gameplay system, LNG, transport mechanics, and then obviously community requested features, bug fixes and improvements. And then we've got Q1 2026, which is update 2, which is to do with the Tide Guard. There's 2 new police ships coming in. There's rescue operations, a new gameplay system, and an inspection overhaul, as well as a new harbour, so a new location on the map as well. And then, in general, from that, they're working on more missions to both factions, more campaign acts, so we only have Act 1 at the moment, vessel editor, and a new faction as well. I'm wondering if they're going to bring in cruise ships. We've seen some of the AI with cruise ships. I wonder if that's one of their plans out there. I have linked in the description the Trello board to their roadmap, so if you want a more detailed look at what is currently in early access and what they're planning, then that link is there for you to view if you're interested. Right, we'll start turning slightly now, so we can get ourselves lined up properly. The one thing that I don't want to do is overshoot myself either, or collide with the dock itself. The good thing about this is once you're in the area majoritively and you press the dock button, it will sort of dock you quite automatically, because it can get other way, other way, other way, other way. Okay, we're good. We're good, we're good, we're good. Yeah. Reduce this speed. I suppose we could coast, so let's turn that off. So we can just coast in here. Of course, we can use the propellers to make sure we sort of strafe into the right place, but we're quite bang on, kind of. We just need a little bit pushed to the left a little bit. Just put the throttle on a little bit, just so we can. We're mostly in first person this entire time, so let's have a look at this in third person for a little bit here. Obviously, you'd stick in first person if you want full authenticity. Okay, we're basically in. We can hold the K button, and there we go. We'll just adjust it like that. And so the symbol, obviously, on the right side, that red symbol says we're docked. And we'll obviously anchor ourselves as well. Now, just to wrap up, if I had my own thoughts to convey, I think it's a good start. So obviously there are things that need improving, there's content need to be added. I think to start with, for an early access title, it's, from my experience, performance has been okay. Until they did those hotfixes, performance was a little bit of a mess, but they've definitely improved everything, which is really good to see. I mean, graphics-wise, graphics is subjective. I don't tend to mention them in first looks, but, you know, I think they're decent. They do the job. I think the weather system works really nicely. I think it's good to have that roadmap in place so players know what's coming next. There are so many early access titles that don't have that, and I think that's really important. Even if you're not buying it at this stage, you know what's coming, you know what's about to happen and what they're working on in the meantime. It's honestly your decision and your choice if you want to invest in this. If you think this isn't enough content, they say there's roughly 30 hours worth. I've maybe done 8, 9 thus far. I've enjoyed it, which is a good thing, but it depends if this is the sort of thing for you. And if this looks like it's that sort of thing to you, that's fine. But if you don't want to invest into an early access title too early, that's completely understandable. And particularly if you have performance concerns. Obviously, I've kept my frame counter throughout my entire session today, so you can sort of see what I'm getting from my specs, as I mentioned at the start of the video, on medium settings. I've not really had too many hitches, but I will be completely transparent with you. I did have one singular crash when finishing up this scenario during this recording. So in all my 8 hours so far, I've had one crash and I think at the start, before the hot fixes, before anything like that, I think the intro cinematics were a bit laggy, but I think they've fixed those as well. So the devs are being proactive, which is a really good thing. And if this is your sort of simulator, I'd say, yeah, it's probably something to keep an eye on if you don't want to invest at this point of time. I think it's very open to a lot of people, so it's very accessible to a lot of people, no matter your skill level or time commitment for a simulator. But more hardcore sim fans might not find this appealing, but that honestly depends on what you think a good simulator is, because that again is a subjective thing. So hopefully today I've shown you enough to give you an idea of what this game is about and where it's going. Use the link that the devs have supplied in the description to take a look at the game in more depth. And because I've only basically shown 1 or 2 gameplay loops here, if you would like me to go through each gameplay loop as an individual video, I'm more than happy to do that. Just put a comment below and I'll get that sorted for you if you want to see more of Seafarer. But if you have enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, like seeing more content than this one, make sure you are subscribed. If you're new here, I cover the latest news and updates of simulation and racing. So if that interests you, stick around and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.